The book of Jubilees, chapter 30, the last chapter. The sons of Hamor, Shechem, defiles Dinah, the daughter of Jacob. And the witnesses' books include the book of Asher, chapter 33 and 34, that goes over the detail of what took place when the sons of Shechem defiled Dinah, Jacob's daughter, which was a virgin and at the time 12 years of age, while Genesis chapter 34 goes over the brief summary of what happened. So let's get into it. The book of Jubilees, chapter 30. Son of Hamor defiles Dinah, the daughter of Jacob. And in the first year of the 6th week, 21:43 a.m., he went up to Salem, to the east of Shechem, in Shalom, in the 4th month. And there they carried off Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, into the house of Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, the prince of the land. And he lay with her and defiled her, and she was a little girl, a child of 12 years old. And he besought his father and her brothers that she might be given to him to wife. And Jacob and his sons were wroth because of the men of Shechem, for they had defiled Dinah, their sister, and they spoke to them with evil intent and dealt deceitfully with them and beguiled them. And Simeon and Levi came unexpectedly to Shechem and executed judgment on all the men of Shechem, and slew all the men whom they found in it, and left not a single one remaining in it. They slew all in torments because they had dishonored their sister Dinah. And thus let it not again be done from henceforth that a daughter of Israel be defiled, for judgment is ordained in heaven against them, that they should destroy with the sword all the men of the Shechemites, because they had wrought shame in Israel. And mighty God Ahijah delivered them into the hands of the sons of Jacob, that they might exterminate them with the sword and execute judgment upon them, and that it might not thus again be done in Israel, that a virgin of Israel shall be defiled. Let's back it up a bit to see what exactly happened in details from the book of Asher. The book of Asher, chapter 33. And then some time after Jacob went away from the borders of the land, and he came to the land of Shalom, that is the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan. And he rested in front of the city, and he brought a parcel of the field which was there from the children of Hamor, the people of the land, for 5 shekels. And Jacob there built himself a house, and he pitched his tent there, and he made booths for his cattle. Therefore he called the name of that place Succoth. And Jacob remained in Succoth 1 year and 6 months. And at that time some of the women of the inhabitants of the land went to the city of Shechem to dance and rejoice with the daughters of the people of the city. And when they went forth, then Rachel and Leah, the wives of Jacob, went. Their families also went to behold the rejoicing of the daughters of the city. And Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, also went along with them, and saw the daughters of the city, and they remained there before these daughters, whilst all the people of the city were standing by them to behold the rejoicing, and all the great people of the city were there. And Shechem, the son of Hamor, the prince of the land, was also standing there to see them. And Shechem beheld Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, sitting with her mother before the daughters of the city. And the damsel pleased him greatly, and he there asked his friends and his people, saying, Whose daughter is that sitting amongst the women, who I do not know in this city? And they say unto him, Surely this is the daughter of Jacob, the son of Isaac, the Hebrew, who has dealt in this city for some time. And when it was reported that the daughters of the land were going forth to rejoice, she went with her mother and maidservants to sit amongst them, as thou seest. And Shechem beheld Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and when he looked at her, his soul became fixed upon Dinah. And he sent and had her taken by force. And Dinah came to the house of Shechem, and he seized her forcibly, and lay with her, and humbled her, and he loved her exceedingly, and placed her in his house. And they came and told the thing unto Jacob. And when Jacob heard that Shechem had defiled his daughter Dinah, Jacob sent 12 of his servants to fetch Dinah from the house of Shechem, and they went and came to the house of Shechem to take away Dinah from there. And when they came, Shechem went out to them with his men, and drove them from his house, and he would not suffer them to come before Dinah. But Shechem was sitting with Dinah, kissing and embracing her before their eyes. And the servants of Jacob came back and told him, saying, When we came, he and his men drove us away, and thus did Shechem do unto Dinah before our eyes. And Jacob knew moreover that Shechem had defiled his daughter, but he said nothing, and his sons were feeding his cattle in the field, and Jacob remained silent till their return. And before his sons came home, Jacob sent 2 maidens from his servant's daughter to take care of Dinah in the house of Shechem, and to remain with her. And Shechem sent 3 of his friends to his father's Hamor, the son of Shechem, the son of Pered, saying, Get me this damsel for a wife. And Hamor, the son of Shechem, the Hivite, came to the house of Shechem his son, and he sat before him. And Hamor said unto his son Shechem, Is there then no woman amongst the daughters of thy people that thou wilt take, an Hebrew woman who is not of thy people? And Shechem said to him, Her only must thou get for me, for she is delightful in my sight. And Hamor did according to the word of his son, and he was greatly beloved by him. And Hamor went forth to Jacob to commune with him concerning this matter. And when he had gone from the house of his son Shechem, before he came to Jacob to speak unto him, behold, the sons of Jacob had come from the field. As soon as they heard the thing that Shechem did, son of Hamor, had done, and the men were very much so grieved concerning their sister, and they all came home fired with anger before the time of gathering in their cattle. And they came and sat before their father, and they spoke unto him kindled with wrath, saying, Surely death is due to this man and to his household, because mighty God Ahijah, our El Elohi of the whole earth, commanded Noah and his children that man shall never rob nor commit adultery, nor behold, Shechem has both ravaged and committed fornication with our sister, and not one of all the people of the city spoke a word to him. Now the witness to this conversation and wrath of this defilement is also mentioned in Genesis 34 verses 1 through 7. And Dinah the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem the son of Hamor, the Hivite prince of the country, saw her, he took her and lay with her, and defiled her. And his soul clave unto Dinah the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the damsel, and spake kindly unto the damsel. And Shechem spake unto his father Hamor, saying, Get me this damsel to wife. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter. Now his sons were with his cattle in the field, and Jacob held his peace until they were come. And Hamor the father of Shechem went out unto Jacob to commune with him. And the sons of Jacob came out of the field when they heard it, and the men were grieved, and they were very wroth, because he had wrongfully folly in Israel in lying with Jacob's daughter, which thing ought not to be done. Now picking up where we left off back in the book of Jubilees, chapter 30, verse 22. Surely thou knowest and understand that the judgment of death is due to Shechem, and to his father, and to the whole city, on account of the thing which he has done. And whilst they were speaking before their father in this matter, behold, Hamor the father of Shechem came to speak to Jacob the words of his son concerning Dinah. And he said before Jacob and before his sons. And Hamor spoke unto them, saying, The soul of my son Shechem longeth for your daughter. I pray you, give her unto him for a wife, and intermarry with us. Give us your daughters, and we will give you our daughters, and you shall dwell with us in our land, and we will be as one people in the land. For our land is very extensive, so dwell you and trade therein, and get possessions in it, and do therein as you desire, and no one shall prevent you by saying a word to you. And Hamor ceased speaking unto Jacob and his sons, and behold, Shechem his son had come after him, and he sat before them. And Shechem spoke before Jacob and his sons, saying, May I find favor in your sight, that you will give me your daughter, and whatever you say unto me, that will I do for her. Ask me for abundance of dowry and gift, and I will give it. And whatever you shall say unto me, that will I do. And whoever he be that will rebel against your orders, he shall die. Only give me the damsel for a wife. And Simeon and Levi answered Hamor and Shechem his son deceitfully, saying, All you have spoken unto us we will do for you. And behold, our sister is in your house, but keep away from her until we send to our father Isaac concerning this matter, for we can do nothing without his consent. For he knoweth the way of our father Abraham, and wherever he saith unto us, we will tell you, we will conceal nothing from you. And Simeon and Levi spoke this unto Shechem and his father, in order to find a pretext and to seek counsel what was to be done to Shechem and to his city in this matter. And when Shechem and his father heard the words of Simeon and Levi, it seemed good in the sight, and Shechem and his father came forth to go home. And when they had gone, the sons of Jacob said unto their father, saying, Behold, we know that death is due to these wicked ones and to their city, because they transgressed that which mighty God Ahiah had commanded unto Noah and his children and his seed after them. And also because Shechem did this thing to our sister Dinah in defiling her, for such vileness shall never be done amongst us. Now therefore know and see what you will do, and seek counsel and pretext what is to be done to them, in order to kill all the inhabitants of this city. And Simeon said to them, Here is a proper advice for you. Tell them to circumcise every male amongst them as we are circumcised. And if they do not wish to do this, we shall take our daughter from them and go away. And if they consent to do this and will do it, then when they are sunk down with pain, we will attack them with our swords as upon one who is quiet and peaceful, and we will slay every male person amongst them. And Simeon's advice pleased them, and Simeon and Levi resolved to do unto them as it was proposed. And on the next morning Shechem and Hamor his father came again unto Jacob and his sons to speak concerning Dinah, and to hear what answer the sons of Jacob would give to their words. And the sons of Jacob spoke deceitfully to them, saying, We told our father Isaac all your words, and your words pleased him. But he spoke unto us, saying, Thus did Abraham his father command him from mighty God Ahiah, our El Elohi of the whole earth, that any man who is not of his descendants, that should wish to take one of his daughters, shall cause every male belonging to him to be circumcised, as we are circumcised, and then we may give him our daughter for a wife. Now we have made known to you all our ways that our father spoken to us, for we cannot do this of which you spoken to us, to give our daughters to an uncircumcised man, for it is a disgrace to us. But herein will we consent to you to give you our daughter, and we will also take unto ourselves your daughters, and we will dwell amongst you and be one people as you have spoken, if you will hearken to us and consent to be like us, to circumcise every male belonging to you as we have circumcised. And if you will not hearken unto us to have every male circumcised as we are circumcised, as we have commanded, then we will come to you and take our daughter from you and go away. And Shechem and his father Hamor heard the words of the sons of Jacob, and the thing pleased them exceedingly. And Shechem and his father Hamor hastened to do the wishes of the sons of Jacob, for Shechem was very fond of Dinah, and his soul was riveted to her. And Shechem and his father Hamor hastened to the gate of the city, and they assembled all the men of their city, and spoke unto them the words of the sons of Jacob, saying, We came to these men, the sons of Jacob, and we spoke unto them concerning their daughter, and these men will consent to do according to our wishes, and behold, our land is of great extent for them, and they will dwell in it and trade in it, and we shall be one people. We will take their daughters, and our daughters we will give unto them for wives. But only of this condition will these men consent to do this thing, that every male amongst us be circumcised, as they are circumcised, as their mighty God Ahiah commanded them. And when we shall have done according to their instructions to be circumcised, then will they dwell amongst us together with their cattle and possessions, and we shall be as one people with them. And when all the men of the city heard the words of Shechem and his father Hamor, then all the men of the city were agreeable to do this proposal, and they obeyed to be circumcised, for Shechem and his father Hamor were greatly esteemed by them, being the princes of the land. And on the next day Shechem and Hamor his father rose up early in the morning, and they assembled all the men of the city into the middle of the city, and they called for the sons of Jacob, who circumcised every male belonging to them on that day and the next. And they circumcised Shechem and Hamor his father, and the 5 brothers of Shechem. And then every one rose up and went home, for this thing was from mighty God Ahiah against the city of Shechem, and from mighty God Ahiah was Simeon's counsel in this matter, in order that mighty God Ahiah might deliver the city of Shechem into the hands of Jacob 2 sons faithfully. Now picking up in the book of Jubilees chapter 30, verse 7, going over the punishment of committing such a dishonorable act. Jubilees chapter 30 verse 7. And if there is any man who wishes in Israel to give his daughter or his sister to any man who is of the seed of the Gentiles, he shall surely die. And they shall stone him with stones, for he has wrought shame in Israel. And they shall burn the women with fire, because she has dishonored the name of the house of her father, and she shall be rooted out of Israel. And let not an adulteress, and no uncleanness be found in Israel throughout all the days of the generations of the earth. For Israel is Kodesh until mighty God Ahiah, and every man who has defiled it shall surely die. They shall stone him with stones. For thus has it been ordained and written in the heavenly tablets regarding all the seed of Israel, he who defiles it shall surely die, and he shall be stoned with stones. And to this Torah there is no limit of days, and no remission, nor any atonement. But the man who has defiled his daughter shall be rooted out in the midst of all Israel, because he has given of his seed to Moloch, and wrought impurity so as to defile it. And do you, Moshe, command the children of Israel, and exhort them not to give their daughters to the Gentiles, and not to take for their sons any of the daughters of the Gentiles, for this is abominable before mighty God Ahiah. For this reason I have written for you in the words of the Torah all the deeds of the Shechemites which they wrought against Dinah, and how the sons of Jacob spoke, saying, we will not give our daughters to man who is in Excuse me a second. Sorry about that. Continuing on. Who is uncircumcised, for that were a reproach unto us, and it is a reproach to Israel, to those who live, and to those that take the daughters of the Gentiles. For this is unclean and unabominable to Israel. And Israel will not be free from this uncleanness if it has a wife of the daughters of the Gentiles, or has given any of its daughters to a man who is of any of the Gentiles. For there will be plague upon plague, and curse upon curse, and every judgment and plague and curse will come if he do this thing, or hide his eyes from those who commit uncleanness, or those who defile the sanctuary of mighty God Ahiah, or those who profane his Kodesh, his name. Then will the whole nation together be judged for all the uncleanness and profanation of this man. And there will be no respect of persons, and no consideration of persons, and no receiving at his hand of fruits and offerings, and burnt offerings, and fat, nor the fragrance of sweet savor, so as to accept it. And so fare every man or woman in Israel who defiles the sanctuary. For this reason I have commanded you, saying, testify this testimony to Israel. See how the Shechemites fared, and their sons, how they were delivered into the hands of two sons of Jacob, and they slew them under tortures, and it was reckoned unto them for righteousness, and it is written down to them for righteousness. And the seed of Levi was chosen for the priesthood, and to be Levites, that they might minister before mighty God Ahiah as we continually, and that Levi and his sons may be blessed forever. For he was zealous to execute righteousness and judgment and vengeance on all those who arose against Israel. And so they inscribed as a testimony in his favor on the heavenly tablets blessing and righteousness before the Almighty God Ahiah of all. And we remember the righteousness which the man fulfilled during his life at all periods of the year, until 1,000 generations they will record it, and it will come to him and to his descendants after him. And he has been recorded on the heavenly tablets as a friend and a righteous man. All this account I have written for you, and have commanded you to say to the children of Israel, that they should not commit sin, nor transgress the ordinance, nor break the covenant which has been ordained for them, but that they should fulfill it and be recorded as friends. But if they transgress and work uncleanness in every way, they will be recorded on the heavenly tablets, and adversaries, as they will be destroyed out of the book of life, and they will be recorded in the book of those who will be destroyed, and with those who will be rooted out of the earth. And on the day when the sons of Jacob slew Shechem, a writing was recorded in their favor in heaven, that they had executed righteousness and uprightness and vengeance on the sinners, and it was written for a blessing. And they brought Dinah their sister out of the house of Shechem, and they took captive everything that was in Shechem, their sheep and their oxen and their asses, and all their wealth and all their flocks, and brought them all to Jacob their father. And he reproached them because they had put the city to the sword, for he feared those who dwelt in the land, the Canaanites and the Perizzites. And dread of mighty God Ahiah was upon all the cities which or around about Shechem, and they did not rise to pursue after the sons of Jacob, for terror had fallen upon them. Now let's get into the book of Asher, chapter 34. And the number of all the males that were circumcised were 645 men and 246 children. But Shechem, son of Pered, the father of Hamor, and his 6 brothers would not listen unto Shechem and his father Hamor, and they would not be circumcised. For the proposal of the sons of Jacob was loathsome in their sight, and their anger was greatly roused at this, that the people of the city had not hearkened to them. And in the evening of the 2nd day they found 8 small children who had not been circumcised, for their mothers had concealed them from Shechem and his father Hamor, and from the men of the city. And Shechem and his father Hamor sent to have them brought before them to be circumcised, when Shechem and his 6 brothers sprang at them with their swords and sought to slay them. And they sought to slay also Shechem and his father Hamor, and they sought to slay Dinah with them on account of this matter. And they said unto them, What is this thing that you have done? Or are there no women amongst the daughters of your brethren, the Canaanites, that you wish to take unto yourselves daughters of the Hebrews, whom you know not before, and will do this act which your fathers never commanded you? Do you imagine that you will succeed through this act which you have done? And what will you answer in this affair to your brethren, the Canaanites, who will come tomorrow and ask you concerning this thing? And if your act shall not appear just and good in their sight, what will you do for your lives, and me for our lives, in your not having hearkened to our voices? And if the inhabitants of the land and all your brethren, the children of Ham, shall hear of your act, saying, On account of a Hebrew woman did Shechem and Hamor his father and all the inhabitants of their city do that which was they had been unacquainted, in which their ancestors never commanded them, where then will you fly, or where conceal your shame all your days before your brethren, the inhabitants of the land of Canaan? Now therefore we cannot bear up against this who dwell in the land, and we will all come and smite you and all those who trust in you, that there shall not be a remnant left from you or them. And when Hamor and his son Shechem and all the people of the city heard the words of Shechem and his brothers, they were terribly afraid of their lives at their words, and they repented of what they had done. And Shechem and his father Hamor answered their father Shechem and his brethren, and they said unto them, All the words which you spoke unto us are true. Now do not say nor imagine in your hearts that on account of the love of the Hebrews we did this thing, that our ancestors did not command us, but because we saw that it was not their intention and desire to accede to our wishes concerning their daughter as to our taking her, except on this condition, so we hearkened to their voices and did this act which you saw, in order to obtain our desire from them. And when we shall have obtained our request from them, we will then return to them and do unto them that which you say unto us. We beseech you then to wait and tarry until our flesh shall be healed, and we again become strong, and we will then go together against them, and do unto them that which is in your hearts and in ours. And Dinah the daughter of Jacob heard all these words which Shechem and his brothers had spoken, and what Hamor and his son Shechem and the people of their city had answered them. And she hastened and sent one of her maidens that her father had sent to take care of her in the house of Shechem to Jacob and her father, and to her brethren, saying, Thus did Shechem and his brothers advise concerning you, and thus did Hamor and Shechem and the people of the city answer them. And when Jacob heard these words, he was filled with wrath, and he was indignant at them, and his anger was kindled against them. And Simeon and Levi swore and said, As mighty God Ahiah liveth, our El Elohi of the whole earth, by this time tomorrow there shall not be a remnant left in the whole city. And 20 young men had concealed themselves who were not circumcised, and these young men fought against Simeon and Levi. And Simeon and Levi killed 18 of them, and 2 fled from them and escaped to some limp pits that were in the city. And Simeon and Levi sought for them, but could not find them. That which you have done, neither can we be burdened with this yoke upon us, which our ancestors did not command us. Behold, tomorrow we will go and assemble all our brethren, the Canaanitish brethren. And Simeon and Levi continued to go about in the city, and they killed all the people of the city at the edge of the sword, and they left none remaining. And there was a great consternation in the midst of the city, and the cry of the people of the city ascended to heaven, and all the women and the children cried aloud. And Simeon and Levi slew all the city, that left not a male remaining in the whole city. And they slew Hamor and Shechem his son at the edge of the sword, and they brought away Dinah from the house of Shechem, and they went from there. And the sons of Jacob went and returned, and came upon the slain, and spoiled all their property which was in the city and the field. And whilst they were taking the spoil, 300 men stood up and threw dust at them, and struck them with stones. When Simeon turned to them, and he slew them all with the edge of the sword. And Simeon turned before Levi, and came into the city. And they took away their sheep, and their oxen, and their cattle, and also the remainder of the women and little ones. And they led away all these away, and they opened a gate, and went out, and came into their father Jacob with vigor. And when Jacob saw all that they had done to the city, and saw the spoil they had took from them, Jacob was very angry at them. And Jacob said unto them, What is this that you have done to me? Behold, I obtained rest amongst the Canaanitish inhabitants of the land, and none of them meddled with me. And now you have done to make me obnoxious to the inhabitants of the land amongst the Canaanites and the Perizzites, and I am but of a small number, and they will all assemble against me and slay me when they hear of your work with their brethren, and I and my household will be destroyed. And Simeon and Levi and all their brothers with them answered their father Jacob, and said unto him, Behold, we live in the land, and shall Shechem do this to our sister? Why wilt thou silent at all that Shechem has done? And shall he deal with our sister as with a harlot in the streets? And the number of the women whom Simeon and Levi took captive from the city of Shechem, whom they did not slay, was 85, who had not known man, virgins. And amongst them was a young damsel of beautiful appearance and well favored, whose name was Bana. And Simeon took her for a wife. And the number of the males which they took captive and did not slay was 47 men, and the rest of them they slew. And all the young men and women that Simeon and Levi had taken captive from the city of Shechem were servants to the sons of Jacob and to their children after them, and to the day of the sons of Jacob going forth from the land of Egypt. And when Simeon and Levi had gone forth from the city, the 2 young men that were left, who had concealed themselves in the city and did not die amongst the people of the city, rose up, and these young men went into the city and walked about in it, and found the city desolate, without man, and only women weeping. And these young men cried out and said, Behold, this is the evil which the sons of Jacob the Hebrew did to the city, in the having this day destroyed one of the Canaanitish cities, and were not afraid of their lives of all the land of Canaan. And these men left the city and went to the city of Tapnach, and they came there and told the inhabitants of Tapnach all that had befallen them, and all the sons of Jacob had done to the city of Shechem. And the information reached Jeshub, king of Tapnach, and he sent men to the city of Shechem to see those young men, for the king did not believe them in this account, saying, How could 2 men lay waste such a large town as Shechem? And the messengers of Jeshub came back and told him, saying, We came unto the city, and it is destroyed. There is not a man there, only weeping women. Neither is any flock or cattle there, for all that was in the city the sons of Jacob took away. And Jeshub wondered at this, saying, How could 2 men do this thing, to destroy so large a city, and not one man able to stand against them? For the like has not been from the days of Nimrod, and not even from the remotest time has the like taken place. And Jeshab king of Tapnach said to his people, Be courageous, and we will go and fight against these Hebrews, and do unto them as they did unto the city, and we will avenge the cause of the people of the city. And Jeshab king of Tapnach consulted with his counselors about this matter, and his advisers said unto him, Alone thou wilt not prevail over the Hebrews, for they must be powerful to do this work to the whole city. If two of them laid waste the whole city, and no one stood against them, surely if thou wilt go against them, they will all arise against us and destroy us likewise. But if thou wilt send to all the kings that surround us, and let them come together, then we will go with them and fight against the sons of Jacob. Then wilt thou prevail against them. And all the kings of the Amorites heard the evil that the sons of Jacob had done to the city of Shechem, and they were greatly astonished at them. And the 7 kings of the Amorites assembled with all their armies, about 10,000 men with drawn swords, and they came to fight against the sons of Jacob. And Jacob heard the thing that the king of the Amorites had assembled to fight against the sons of Jacob, and Jacob was greatly afraid, and it distressed him. And Jacob exclaimed against Simeon and Levi, saying, What is this act that you did? Why have you injured me, to bring against me all the children of Canaan, to destroy me and my household? For I was at rest, even I and my household, and you have done this thing to me, and provoked the inhabitants of the land against me by your proceedings. And Judah answered his father, saying, Was it for naught my brothers Simeon and Levi killed all the inhabitants of Shechem? Surely it was because Shechem had humbled our sister and transgressed the commandments of El Elohi, mighty God Ahiah, to Noah and his children. For Shechem took our sister away by force and committed adultery with her. And Shechem did all this evil, and not one of the inhabitants of his city interfered with him, to say, Why wilt thou do this? Surely for this my brothers went and smote the city, and mighty God Ahiah delivered it into their hands, because its inhabitants had transgressed the commands of El Elohi, mighty God Ahiah. Is it then for naught that they have done all this? And now why art thou afraid of distress, and why art thou displeased at my brothers? And why is thine anger kindled against them? Surely our El Elohi, mighty God Ahiah, who delivered into their hand the city of Shechem and its people, he will also deliver into our hands all the Canaanitish kings who are coming against us, and we will do unto them as my brothers did unto Shechem. Now be tranquil about them, and cast away thy fears, but trust in mighty God Ahiah, our El Elohi, and pray unto him to assist us, and deliver our enemies into our hands. And Judah called to one of his father's servants, Go now and see where those kings who are coming against us are situated with their armies. And the servants went and looked far off, and went up opposite Mount Sihon, and saw all the camps of the kings standing in the field. And he returned to Judah and said, Behold, the kings are situated in the field with all their camps, a people exceedingly numerous, like unto the sand upon the seashore. And Judah said unto Simeon and Levi, and unto all his brothers, Strengthen yourselves, and be sons of valor, for mighty God Ahiah, our El Elohi, is with us. Do not fear them. Stand forth, each man girt with his weapons of war, his bow and his sword, and we will go and fight against these uncircumcised men. And mighty God Ahiah, our El Elohi, he will save us. And Jeshab heard the words of his counselors, and their words pleased him and his people, and he did so. And Jeshab king of Tapnach sent to all the kings of the Amorites that surrounded Shechem and Tapnach, saying, Go up with me and assist me, and we will smite Jacob the Hebrew and all his sons, and destroy them from the earth. For thus did he do to the city of Shechem, and do you not know of it? And they rose up, and each girt on his weapons of war, great and small, 11 sons of Jacob, and all the servants of Jacob with them. And all the servants of Isaac who were with Isaac in Hebron, all came to them equipped in all sorts of war instruments. And the sons of Jacob and their servants, being 112 men, went toward these kings, and Jacob also went with them. And the sons of Jacob sent unto their father Isaac, the son of Abraham, to Hebron, the same in Kerith Arba, saying, Pray we beseech thee for us unto mighty God Ahai, our El Elohi, to protect us from the hands of the Canaanites who are coming against us, and to deliver them into our hands. And Isaac the son of Abraham prayed unto mighty God Ahai for his sons, and he said, O mighty God Ahai, my El Elohi, thou didst promise my father, saying, I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven, and thou didst also promise me, and establish thou thy word. Now that the kings of Canaan are coming together to make war with my children, because they committed no violence. Now therefore, O mighty God Ahai, my El Elohi of the whole earth, pervert, I pray thee, the counsel of these kings, that they might not fight against my sons, and impress the hearts of these kings and their people with the terror of my sons, and bring down their pride, and that they may turn away from my sons. And with thy strong hand and outstretched arm deliver my sons and their servants from them, for power and might are in thy hands to do all this. And the sons of Jacob and their servants went toward these kings, and they trusted in mighty God Ahai, their El Elohi. And whilst they were going, Jacob their father also prayed unto mighty God Ahai, and said, O mighty God Ahai, my El Elohi, powerful and exalted El Elohi, mighty God, who has reigned from days of old, from thence till now and forever. Thou art he who stirred up wars, and causeth them to cease. In thy hand or power and might, to exalt and to bring down. O may my prayer be acceptable before thee, that thou mayest turn to me with thy mercies, to impress the hearts of these kings and their people with the terror of my sons, and terrify them in their camps, and with thy great kindness. Deliver all those that trust in thee, for it is thou who canst bring people under us, and reduce nations under our power, faithfully in Yeshua's name. And we're going to stop at that. That's the end of the book of Jubilees, chapter 30. Thank you for listening.